chapter, letter number 4. Letter number 4. A similar theme, but we're just going to touch upon. So the order will be, we're first going to do the daily Tanya, then we might take, and then we will open up for questions and discussion. Okay, we will open up for questions and discussion. Ein Yisrael nigolim ele b'tzedakah, shenema v'shavia b'tzedakah. Israel, the Jewish people, will be redeemed only through the virtue of tzedakah, of charity. As it's written, she shall be redeemed through tzedakah. That's what it says in Isaiah. In Tehillim, in King David's Psalms, it says, Tzedek lefanav yahalech. Tzedek, righteousness, charity, shall go before him. Now, it doesn't say, the way it's written, for those who understand Hebrew, Tzedek lefanav yahalech. It should say yelech, but it says yahalech. Yahalech, it means it's a causative form of a verb. In other words, it's causing something else to go. In other words, my charity is causing something else to go before God. What's it called? So, of course, we need to understand what's it causing to go before God. It's not my charity that's going before God. It's something that charity is causing to go before God. That's what the verse is indicating from Psalms. What does that mean? We'll get back there. So it can be understood by another verse in Psalms, in Tehillim, that L'cha amar libi bakshu panai. On your behalf, God, my heart says, seek my face. So the Alter Rebbe explains like this. Bakshu, requesting, seeking, is an inwardness of the heart that it is seeking. So, what does that mean? What does it mean the inwardness of our heart is seeking? What is it seeking? So, the Alter Rebbe says like this. There are two aspects of the heart. External and internal. Inward. What does external mean? External doesn't mean a bad thing over here. It's not a negative thing. How do you access the external aspect of the heart? That you should have a love of God. How are you going to access that? How are you going to get there? So we get there from the external aspect of the heart through our minds, through understanding, having an awareness of God, the greatness of God. Your relationship with God will give you access to the external aspect of your heart, that in that part of the heart, you can have a love of God. Right? This is an idea that we've explained very often, that the mind is meant to influence the heart, and that we should have the feelings in our heart based on what our mind understands. So the ultimate thing that your mind can understand is the knowledge of God. And through that knowledge, that awareness brings us to having a feeling towards God. From the mind, we feed the heart. That is, and we can have ultimately a very strong, passionate love of God. That's all called external. Why is that called external? External here means the idea that one thing is causing another thing. In other words, it's not inherently so, but it is causative. It's caused as such. What's causing the love? My awareness, my understanding. That's what's causing it. In other words, because I'm fully aware, knowledgeable, and thinking, contemplating about Hashem, about my relationship, about His greatness, that feeds me, causes a love. So it's because it's a cause and effect, therefore it's external. In other words, it's not inherently this way. Something had to arouse it. Something had to engage it. That love. It's the mind. That's called external. Now, that's a very great thing, but there's something deeper than that, which is called the internal aspect of the heart, the innermost point of the heart, the depth of the heart, which transcends any awareness, any knowledge, understanding that our minds can feed the heart by our awareness and knowledge of God. Way beyond that. As the verse says in, again, Tehillim, Psalms, from out of the depths do I call unto you, God, from the depths of the heart. Now, by way of metaphor, the Alter Rebbe says that, sometimes we can see in our lives that we are touched by something that is so extremely important to us, that our entire being is hinging on this. It could be a person that we love, and something, God forbid, happened to them. It touches our innermost point of our heart that we can't even speak with reason. We babble. Why? Because we've been touched, perhaps pained, to such a deep place that we speak nonsensical. So the Alter Rebbe says, that's a metaphor for us to understand the service of the heart, that a love for God that touches, and here we're talking about the Jewish soul, because as we will see, that this becomes actually the definition of the Jewish soul, that touches the soul's essence, that utterly transcends any logic or reason. Utterly transcends. This is what we call the Nekudas of Chachma, the quintessential point of Chachma, of the soul. Chachma we translate it as wisdom. Right? That Chachma itself is beyond any logic, beyond any reason. It is the source of reason, but it itself is beyond reason. It's the spark of divinity of the Jewish soul. Now, we dealt with this in the first part of Tanya, that this is actually the defining point of the Jewish soul. It's Chachma. In other words, if you recall in and this actually, it's a short class, and we end this today. But just to give a context of this, what we learned in chapter 19 of the first part of Tanya was that a Jew will give up their lives for God in order not to serve any other form of idolatry or any other form of deity. They will give up their lives, even though they didn't live for God, they will give up their lives for God and die. Not out of logic, not out of reason, not out of, hey, I live, I believe in this and therefore I'm going to die because I'm going to die for what I believe. There are Jews who didn't live by it, but yet they died by it. And this is unique to the Jewish people. Other people will die for their beliefs, but that's logical, that's reasonable, that's rational. I mean, rational in the way they perceive things may not be rational, but the way they perceive things, it's, there's a rationality there. But the Jewish soul will die for God, not based on rationality. And that comes, and this is the point that he's speaking about over here, the inwardness of the heart, where the soul actually reflects itself in the inwardness of the heart, the core of the heart that reflects the core essence of the soul. And that is the Nekud of Chachma, and that's what defines the Jewish soul, and what actually defines us as being a Jew, ultimately. We learned a lot about that previously, but this is the point here. So that's the beginning of chapter 4. We are going to go further into this and to understand how that translates into actual divine service, as opposed to giving up your life, how you can live with this, right? and how we can see that, well, if this is something so that's a part of every Jewish soul, this something all of us can attain, this deeper connection? So we're going to discuss all of this in the forthcoming classes, but that is the point till now. So, what's the takeover here in this brief idea? Is that the heart has many layers. And to reach the many layers of the heart, there's a lot that we can do on our own, with our minds. But to reach the core essence, that's something beyond us ultimately, as we will see more about that. So, to reach through my mind that it touches my heart, that's a cause and effect. But then there's something that's beyond cause and effect, right? That, in other words, my mind understands something and that feeds my heart. And that causes my heart to have a love of God, right? Or anything in life. Think about it. If you're a doctor and you know how terrible smoking is, right? So you understand intellectually all that. That will feed your heart to have a hatred towards smoking. Because what did you do? Your understanding fed your heart. That caused an emotion, a feeling of hating it, and therefore pushing it away with two hands. Okay, so, but that's external. Then there's something that is internal. Internal, innermost, core, means because it's something that is defining me, not that I am causing it, but I'm defined by it. And that's the inner core of the heart, that is an expression of the essence of the soul, that is beyond me, transcends me, but is me, defines me. So we have these two elements in our lives, and we need both of them to be aware of and develop them. The core essence of who I am. Who am I? What does that mean that I'm a Jew? What does it mean that I'm a human? You have to understand that. And know that that's something that is defining me. Well, if it's defining me, then how do I be that? And then there is the elements of my life that aren't defining me, but I have a capability of letting it become a part of me, using my mind to feed my heart, an awareness, for example, of God. So take this in another step further in relationships. In relationships, there is the core of the relationship that's defined beyond any appreciation of it. This is my wife. This is my husband. This is my child. This is my fellow Jew. Right? And so on and so forth. Right? That is, transcends, the awareness of how good my spouse is, how good my children is, how good my fellow is. Transcends that. It's connected to the core of my heart, which is to the essence of my soul, expressing the essence of my soul. And at the same time, in that relationship, there is my mind that I can choose now how I should look at that person. Do I look at them in a favorable way or not? What am I feeding my heart in the relationship? Am I feeding things that are going to be good for the heart to feel? Or negative feelings am I feeding my heart? Do I have a negative a look at this person? Why am I having a negative look at them? Feeding my heart with that? If they are someone who I have a core relationship with, then why am I feeding my heart with any negativity towards them? Now, that doesn't mean you're not aware of negativity and maybe, you need to bring to their attention something. I'm not talking about that, but why are you meditating on it? Why are you cogitating it? Why are you making this, why are you, making this such a big reality? A take from this lesson today. Okay, we're now open for questions. We're now open for questions, for comments, for thoughts. I'm just going to go on to Facebook to just see some questions before I lose the feed. If there's any questions, any comments. I know now that. I went through a bunch of different things here. I don't see anything. George. Please share with us. George, you there?
Hi.
Hey, George. Please share with us.
It's a wonderful thing that we are giving a part of our income or our time with happiness. That is the main matter of thing. Without happiness, whatever we give doesn't matter. With happiness, whatever we give, that is count as a blessing with us. For some people actually show up giving charity in middle of the people, and in heart they are not very happy, and they are not very fully giving with gratitude. That makes the problem, and the understanding that whatever you give in happiness will be a mitzvah, and it will give you back whatever blessings, which we didn't expect any blessing. It should fall in place. That's what my understanding of giving. This is 10% of our income.
Right. Right. Oh, thank you, George. Yes. So as you mentioned, 10% of the income that's called Meiser. That is the duty that we have to give to charity, and as you said, that needs to be done with joy. And how do we get joy? How do we do it with joy? Is because when we understand that the money is really on loan to us. It's God's money. It's not my money. It's His. He lent it to me to do the right thing with it. And you know what the proof is? It's not mine. I could have it today and it could be gone tomorrow. So I never really had it. I only had as a loan so I could now use it in the appropriate way. So I got to take care of my family. I got to take care of people that I have responsibility, and I have to be charitable to give tzedakah. When we understand that it is mine in order that I could do the right thing with it, then when you're giving tzedakah, you're going to do it with joy, as you said, George. Thank you very much. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Chaim has a question here. Tzedakah is important on the micro individual basis, but Jews as a group need to be aware of justice. The big tzedakah as the part of Tikkun Olam to make the world good place for Hashem to come to. So absolutely, but they're kind of tied together. By being charitable, we're doing justice. Because I want to remind everybody the word tzedakah comes from the word tzedek, which means justice. That's interesting. Tzedakah comes from the word tzedek, which means justice. Well, justice would seem to be, right from wrong. Justice would be that, everybody's equally under the rule of law, and, there isn't a favoritism. That's, justice. Justice needs to be served when someone, is victimizing someone. Absolutely correct. But interesting to note that the word tzedakah comes from the word justice. So you're doing justice by giving tzedakah. How so? How you? Because you're doing what's just. How's it just? Because if the money was mine, then what? I'm not doing justice. I'm being charitable. So in English, it's called charity. Charity means I'm giving something that belongs. I'm giving something that belongs to me, to you, or to whoever, right? I'm being charitable. But in Judaism, it's not called charity. It's called tzedakah. It's called justice. Justice means it's not mine. It's a loan. It's a loan from God to do the right thing, to do the just thing. And the just thing is give. Give. That's the just thing. So, very important that we appreciate that tzedakah is justice.
Actually, there are how many types of tithes are there? Levitical or sacred tithe, poor tithe, feast tithe, and yeah. Can anyone give light to the tithes?
To the
The types
tithes.
of tithes.
Yeah, so that's a detailed thing. Just in the brief idea of tithes, means the 10% again. That is the minimum amount of net earnings a person needs, is obliged according to Jewish law to give to charity. Now, what is considered to be the act of tzedakah, to who and what, that's a different discussion we won't get into at the moment. But the basic idea is your net earnings. Now, if a person can't afford to give 10% of their net earnings because of whatever, that is you know, a different question, right? Chaim, does Tanya say anything about our guts? I don't mean about your guts, like a gut feeling. Our mind and our guts are very connected. So I'm not exactly sure what the question is, but if you could qualify or explain that question. Okay. Any other questions? Any other comments?
What if the person is a student or something? How they can give something towards
Yes. So a very good question, George. So if a person, again, like they're a student, it's interesting. Jewish law says that even if you are going around panhandling to get charity in order to survive, even such a person needs to be charitable. Now, they're going to give within what they're capable of giving.
time also factors.
Whatever, yeah. No, here it's in money. There's also being tzedakah with time and our efforts. Yes, absolutely. But it is really more of monies that we're talking about. So that's an individual question that you need to ask your rabbi who can help you out with your particular situation. That's what I would suggest. Chaim is asking another question. I believe that if we move in one big group, its power will be enhanced. Each musical instrument is beautiful and complete by itself, but the power of the orchestra is more than the sum of its parts. Exactly. Very good. Yeah. Look at Chabad. It's another good example. A small group of Jews, but they work together. Yes. Yeah, beautiful metaphor. As Chaim is saying, one instrument can make beautiful music, but when that one instrument is together with an entire orchestra and they're all playing in a harmony together, led by the orchestra leader, the conductor, then the music is much greater than the sum the sum parts of its sum parts. The total is much greater than the sum parts of that make up the orchestra, and that's very true. And actually, that's a beautiful metaphor. Thank you for that, Chaim, because we are today Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, the day, national mourning of the Jewish people, a fast day that a fast day, national mourning, destruction of two holy temples on this day, the year 69 and the year 400 and something of the before the Common Era, and what led to this was there wasn't a unified force amongst the Jewish people. We were not connected to each other appropriately. We were disconnected from each other, so much so that we could see ill in another. We could have hatred towards another. And therefore, it was sinas chinam, baseless hatred, that destroyed the Second Holy Temple. So you know what's going to build it? Baseless love. What is baseless love? Actually ties in with the idea that we spoke about over here. You can have a reason to love God because you understand God. But then there is a reason to love God because he is the inner part of your heart, not the external part. So it ties in beautifully with what we're learning today. The inner part of the heart loves God baselessly. In other words, not logically, rationally. Baseless, I know baseless is the right word, but not based on some rational understanding, but based on a deep bond that is so powerful and so real that it's defining us. Wow, I didn't realize we would get there. That was ties in beautifully, that idea. All right, any other questions, comments? I know now. Let me find. Heather, I know now that my human nature seeking transactional interaction is rooted in the and cloaked in the spiritual animals, in the animal soul. Seeking divine connection is the goal. Very good. Thank you. All right. Beautiful. As always. All right, folks. Anybody else has a question? Michael, welcome. Eliana, Tim, Mayor.
Shalom Aleichem.
Michael, how?
I do apologize, Rabbi, for pinging you into one of my rooms accidentally.
Nothing to apologize.
Yeah, I was talking to the others about the Adam and Eve thing because they requested it. I just want to say something that I felt during this Shabbat because I'm out of the fasting here in Romania.
Oh, your fast is over.
Yeah. Lucky me,
Yeah.
I can say. And it was actually, like you said, it actually went by really fast because I was really invested in the whole morning of Jerusalem thing. And I also joined club rooms here on Clubhouse, and I talked about pretty much what the Shabbat is. I was really blessed to be able to share that information to the best of my knowledge.
Beautiful.
And I'm glad that people actually understood stuff from me when they don't usually. It was really interesting, and I can feel that the fast actually helped me say this with such passion, because I felt as if I was one of those ancient Israelites in Jerusalem during both of the sieges, actually. I also reread the book of Lamentations, and I can say that, I know, my soul was crying for what happened. And, yeah.
Wow, beautiful. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing. So actually, I like the point that you made, and just to pick up on it, that the fasting um, didn't inhibit, but actually helped. So there's a phrase, "Lahachayesem bera'av," that we are invigorated through the fast. So this is actually more on Yom Kippur, an idea, fast day, but I guess it could be on a day today also. It's also a similar idea. And what does that mean? Um, it means like this, and this is the idea that Philip, that you brought up. Um, oh, sorry, Michael, that you brought up, and that is as follows. Normally, what gives us vitality? Food, right? Food gives us strength, gives us vitality. Could you imagine that there's a moment in your life that there's something else that's giving you vitality? Well, I hope the Tanya learning gives us vitality. I don't mean to just I don't mean to just say that it's a inspiration, it's a spiritual boost. No, no, no. Physical vitality. Ultimately, the spiritual is the force of vitality. Um, and there are moments that we experience that. There is moments that we can experience that. So Yom Kippur is the prime day for that you're fasting, and the fasting is not inhibiting you. On the contrary, it's allowing you to divest of the materiality of our being and to be able to focus in on the vitality that Yom Kippur itself produces. This is expressed through the prayers, expressed through our connection to Hashem, and so on. And that is giving me life. Not giving me life who's going to live for the future, giving me in the present moment life. So we experience it by learning Tanya, I hope, in learning Torah. It's vitality because Torah is metaphorically food. Food meaning just as food gives us physical vitality, so spiritual vitality is through Torah learning. But sometimes we can learn in such a way that it's not just giving me spiritual vitality, but that spiritual vitality is actually affecting my physical reality, and I feel physically more alive. Not depleted, but more alive. So food, but not eating, usually you feel more depleted. And quite frankly, there are when I'm fasting, times that I feel more depleted. There's no question. Uh, you know, but there are times that I feel actually that I'm invigorated. The fast is helping me to invigorate me because I'm not making that my focus. That's not my reality. It's not my true life, and therefore the fast is actually helping to invigorate. How? Because I'm focused on my connection and the realness of what I'm engaged in the mitzvah, the Torah that I'm engaged in the moment. So thank you, Michael. That was beautiful, and helped bring.
Rabbi, and also, yeah, it makes sense because it's just like you put it. When I don't want to call it preaching. I was talking with the other people there on Clubhouse about the Shabbat, and I was explaining the non-Jewish people what it meant. I felt like I was, like my body was a shell, and I kind of got rid of it through all of this fasting. Like, I know the bodily needs, and I fed the soul, and the soul started growing.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
There are many health benefits scientifically also for fasting. So our stomach lineage got break during the fasting period, and a certain chemical got released. So it's actually very helpful for the body as well. That's
Yep.
other point which I have to add. Yeah.
Yep. Very true. Very true. Very true. Okay. All right, folks. Wonderful. To be continued tomorrow. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. I'm not certain yet about the class tonight at 6:30. We always have a Sunday night class. I have to double check, and I will post it on the groups that we have that people are a part of, and email. If I don't have your email, private message me so I have your email so I can put you part of all the information that's important. So it's important. Send me your email. You can send it to me by signing up at TanyaRabbi.com. If you sign up over there, we get your name, give your full name, your email, and we'll keep you posted. Or private message me. You can do that also, and we'll keep you posted that way. You sent me, Michael, but I don't know if I'm going to have a copy of it from here. So you can at Tanya Rabbi on Instagram. It's the Tanya Rabbi, or you can do it again through Facebook also. All right, folks, and I'll let you know a bit later about if there's going to be a class tonight. Hopefully there will be, but I'm not 100% certain yet. All right, have a wonderful day, meaningful fast, and the most important thing is Mashiach now. Thank you for joining. God bless.